There you go. Right. Good morning. As Australians say, good day. We are live again, and we are going to talk to Simon. Please don't shout at me if I get this wrong. Simon McDougall. Is that right? Dougal. There you go.
Yeah, it's McDougall. It's McDougall as in the grading flower. Unfortunately, we're not related.
Well, there you go. There you go. Heard that first. Yeah, we're going to talk to Simon about his experience, give him an opportunity to tell his story, and where it led up to him becoming the founder of the Mancave Movement. Like we all know what that is. So we'll get into it. So all I say is welcome, Simon.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, it all come about a couple of years ago. I was having the thoughts in my mind and that, and then when we got into lockdown last year, first lockdown back in March, I started to ponder because I wasn't earning any money, and I thought, well, really, I've had this idea about Mancave Movement for some time, and that it's time to start digging, getting it going, etc. Which is where I'm at the moment. I've very much in the startup phase, but I've just been registered as a limited company by guarantee, which qualifies me to be a social enterprise and will very much be part of the community interest, community network. And I want to get men's mental health right out there in front of everyone, because we live with the man code, as we have come to call it, over many, many years now. We're all familiar with the terms like grow up, care, be a man, stand up, be the strong face in the family, be the person that shows little emotion. I mean, from my background, I've had a lot of men's banter about it over the years, but I found it difficult because I always worked in a predominantly male environment.
Yeah. I don't know if it was us then, but there was a little bit of a glitch there. I don't know if it's your internet, mine. I don't know. Signal doesn't help that there's homeschooling going on upstairs. So, yeah.
It could be my internet connection. It's certainly you wobbled a bit just now, but it seems to be okay at the moment. So
yeah. So we'll just go with the floor, because at the end of the day, we never quit. We never quit.
Absolutely.
Here. So obviously, where we can, talk to me about your experience, like your history of things you've been experiencing.
For my history, I'm 54 years old. I was born in Russington, West Sussex. I've lived in Bognor Regis, West Sussex, well, all of my life, except the short time I was in the army. And yeah, I've got a lot of experience. I lived, I'm married for a second time. I got my 25th wedding anniversary on the 18th of May this year. And I've got 2 children, one from each marriage. I've got a son that's 33, and I've got a daughter that's be 20 in April. Daughter's in university education, undergraduate at the moment, in the second year of doing social sciences. And you see, my life, it's been an interesting one, because depression never really come on the scene when I was at school. It wasn't recognised like there is now with mental health issues and that. Knowing what I do now, I suffered greatly with depression during my teenage years. Didn't realise what was going on until my early 20s, when I thought there's something not right here. Then I was diagnosed with chronic depression. I've also had anxiety issues, and also later on, I've become a type 2 diabetic, which again brings in demands of itself, and certainly plays a lot on your mental health. But you know, I worked, as I say, I was in the army for a period of time, and then I went into the construction industry, and as you can imagine, the man's bands are there, and in the army was a lot. Many people refer to me as a man's man, which I am, very much an alpha male, but there was always something different about me. I got into local politics when I was in my early 20s, so I was working full time. I was a councillor in the evening. I worked my way up at work from being a labourer through the ground worker and eventually up to doing site management cover and covering a lot of health and safety issues, that type of thing. But also in the background, as I say, my political career started to take off. I became a high profile local councillor. I then became a parliamentary candidate. I stood at the 2005, 2010, 2015 general elections as a parliamentary candidate. Become a very, very good public speaker over that time. Done a lot of live to camera work, everything else. And I've had 2007 and 2017, when I was 40 and 50, I had two midlife crises. In 2007, I took the decision to come out of the construction industry. I worked full time as a local councillor. I lost my first seat in 2013 and my second seat in 2015. I went back to doing a bit of manual work, handyman work, etc., and that, but wasn't very happy. And in 2017, when a lot of my year group, we all came back together, had a reunion and that. And, I've been trying to find myself for the last 2 or 3 years. But in that time, the light bulb suddenly come on. And when I say it suddenly come on, I found a way to manage my thoughts, and I found a way to get control of my life, because I think in life we tend to respond to the external factors. Everything goes on, different life challenges come up, etc., and that you're in that moment, you're getting on with that, and you're not thinking about what's actually going on up here. And what I found is, once you get control of what's going on up there, then you are in control of your life. And it's taken me years to get to that point. But the bottom line is, I had been very successful throughout my life, within my work, within my politics. I'm a well-respected member of my local community. And I was thinking, well, there's a lot of men that have gone through a journey that I've gone through. And why not go into that? Because when you look at community interest companies, etc., and you look at that community as a whole, what they're looking for is the lived experience.
Yeah.
And a lived experience, it's to my mind, and for me, is a far better empathetic take on the situation, because you've been there, you've done it, you worn the t-shirt, etc. And because you've done that and you understand the journey, you're able to help more individuals.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to do. I want to share that experience. I want to share what I know. But the reason why I'm looking at the 18 to 25 age group is because I think prevention is better than cure, and we can give them the coping strategies, the techniques, the understanding of controlling your thoughts, etc., at a young age. Hopefully we can start to bring down over the years the male suicide levels, which are absolutely shocking. Of course, anything under the age of 50, I think it's I think the last figures I see were 12 men a day, 84 men a week, and over 4,000 a year commit suicide, and 75% of all suicides in the UK are men. And that is a shocking figure that we've got to get on top of. And as I say, with this man code that we've all been brought up by, the stiff upper lip, that type of thing, turn the other cheek, remain strong, always be there, be the breadwinner. That code just isn't made for the day and age that we're in now with the fast time life. We're 24-hour viewing on media, etc. And you've got to learn. I mean, and for me, the key part of that has been self-care.
Exactly. Yeah, which brings me, obviously, hi Leah. She's actually put, she agrees with the early intervention. Absolutely. Absolutely. Which brings me on to the next one is speaking, because I've never gone into the political world, never. Speaking as a political, what do you think should, let me rephrase that, what do you think the government should do with mental health? Because obviously we know that they're pumping all this money into the mental health industry, but we're seeing very little actually happening.
I think the government's got to get it much higher up the agenda now. I mean, given the fact that we're now into our third lockdown,
yeah,
it's very clear out there that more and more people are struggling with their mental health. I'm sure you've had family members like I have that are struggling with the isolation. And I think, well, we're going to start, if I'm honest, they're going to pump more money into it. But how they get that money to the coalface and actually get it working is something that I think they've got to seriously look at, because I think there's the traditional route is that you've got depression, anxiety, or another mental health disorder. The general line is medication. We'll take you into counselling with a service like Time to Talk, which is down here. Well, they've got waiting lists. And to access professional help, I mean, I'm a qualified mentor and coach and mentor, and the bottom line is I could charge hundreds, as a lot of people are that are out there in the private sector. And I think what I'm starting to think of doing, because I don't, where to start up fees with Mancave Moment, for argument's sake, my idea is that I will front the organisation. I will be the CEO who gets out, gets the funding, goes in front of people and gets partnerships working, etc., working with guys like yourself, other people that I'm meeting with in the men's community now on LinkedIn and that. Now, what I want to do is bring in a pool of people that will do it not because they want to make a massive amount of money, but because they want to give something back to the community, earn a reasonable living, but start to get that to an access level where young people, people that are on low incomes, are able to access at a sensible level. Because if we don't do that, we're still going to have the problem coming. I mean, fortunately now, I mean, cricket's my sport, and I'll use that as an example. You have people like Marcus Trescott, Jonathan Trott, Freddie Flintoff, that have all come out and have expressed that they've had issues with mental health and that, etc. They're in the front line. There's people in other sports. Another one of my connections, I don't know whether you are with him, like Danny Scolthorpe, who's doing a lot of work within rugby league and local rugby clubs, and going into business and talking about mental health issues now. And he's doing some work within the construction industry. You know, there's people out there that have opened up, have become honest with what has happened to them, and I think that helps on getting men's mental health onto a bigger platform.
Absolutely.
But we've got a long way to go.
Oh yeah,
You know the struggles. I know the struggles, and it is hard. It's very, very hard. It's wearing on the individual, and I think there's got to be a massive educational program. And if I'm honest, I think it's got to start at probably key stage 2 in schools, which is the primary level as it was when I was at school, because that is when a child is a sponge. They learn everything, their brain takes everything in, and then they can adapt. And then you can, through the school network, into the secondary or academy education, as it mainly is now, you can teach them what we know, how you handle that situation. The trouble is, my daughter's school did a bit of that, but they were doing it around the years that were going through to GCSE or A level, etc. And they weren't doing it as a general program throughout the younger years, which is what I think this is what I think's got to do. So I think one of the key areas with funding would be pump some of that into schools and do the work there. Well, I also think you've got to catch this group of NEETs, not in education, not in training, etc., and help those lads, probably from disadvantaged backgrounds and that, to start coping. And what I would also think you need to do, this is something else that I'm going to be concentrating on. I think not only do you need to give them the coping skills, give them the mental health awareness, but I think you've also got to give them a roadmap, if you like, of how you develop your life, how you maintain control. What are your goals in life? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to be employed? What employability skills have you got? How do you improve that? And, there's going to be such a big challenge out there once we get to somewhere normal. I think from what I'm seeing, face masks are going to be around for a while. And I think social distancing to a degree is going to be there. But if I look at it from a point of view, an 18 to 25-year-old now, and seeing where my daughter is, for argument's sake, she's got a boyfriend that they've been going out with another 3 years, yet physically in person, they've probably seen one another maybe 20 times in the last year. And that was outdoors to start with, when we were allowed to meet outside at a 2 meter distance, that type of thing. So there's relationship issues. There's the issues that all of your courses are online, whether you're at college or university. And I think what we're missing as a society, all of us, we're missing that social interaction. And I think there's going to be a massive mental health issue out there. But the other issue for you, the younger age group, is that they're going to be facing challenges with employment. I think there's going to be, a job will be advertised. There'll be 40, 50, 60, even 100 applications going in for a single job. So it's going to become very much a competitive market. And for youngsters coming out of university, higher education, they're going to be finding that hard. They're going to be finding it challenging. So we need to find a roadmap where they can take control of the situation, and, entrepreneur skills, business skills, public speaking skills, which is going to become more and more, I think, a critical skill for young people to have, particularly as we're now working online. You and I are talking quite comfortably live, but I can tell you from my own experience as a public speaker, when you do it for the first time,
I know.
It's the nerves build up in you. I mean, even now, if I'm going to make a big speech, I do Toastmasters, and if I do, I know I've got a big speech, I still get the nerves. I still occasionally get the shakes in my hand. Sometimes when I stand up, my legs are like jelly. But I know I might stutter for the first 5-10 seconds, but I know that once I've done that, I'm into my stride and away I go. For me, public speaking, talking to you like this, it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel stronger as an individual, and the confidence that brings cannot be underestimated.
Do you know what? All I've got to say is thank you. Thank you for actually taking this opportunity. Because not only are you helping me, because to me, all this, what I'm doing now, is actually my self-care. And it's my coping strategy in doing podcasts because I speak to people all across the world. Like just last night, there was 4 of us, me, UK, somebody from Dallas, Texas, somebody from Chicago, and the other from Brisbane, Australia. Just us 4 from all different continents, right there. And obviously, I'm glad you mentioned the youth and the education, because I actually mentioned mental health to my kids' school. Like my kids, they're 9 and 7, and I said, "You got to teach them mental health." Well, it's like, well, we're already doing that. I'm like, how? Because we've put it into our PHSCE thing. I can't remember what the word is now. It'll come to me. But I'm like, right, okay.
PHSE.
That's it, yeah. So I said, right, can you show me the evidence? I am still waiting for them to show me that evidence. And I told them that before Christmas last year. Which questions are they actually teaching the kids about mental health? Now, obviously, this week is National Children's Mental Health Week.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to be privileged to be interviewing. Obviously, my questions are going to be different because he's a 9-year-old. But I'm actually going to be bringing my son on a podcast and actually talking to him about mental health and what it means to him. Because that's how it's supposed to be. We're going to have to talk to our kids about mental health, because people like you and I, when we was 9 years old or 18 or 21, there was no mention of mental health. When I was 21 years old, I didn't know I had mental health. I didn't know it even existed. But kids today, they can talk about autism. So they have got these amazing opportunities to actually get whatever they've got bottled up out of their system. But it just shows, and going back to like the NHS pumping money and stuff like that. March 2019, I attempted suicide just 2 years ago, and I was discharged because I was begging to be sectioned under the Mental Health Act.
Yeah.
They didn't take me. They did not take me. But and this is why I've become private and started to tell people. Yeah, fair enough. The NHS did not help me. Doesn't mean they're going to help them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I must admit, I've had some very, very dark days. I've never actually got to a point, and I've been very lucky where I've attempted suicide. But just after my father's 70th birthday back in 2012, which was just in the run up to Christmas, and I started mentally composing a suicide note, and I thought, oh hell. And it scared the life out of me because actually it felt real. I felt very uncomfortable. I was very, very empty as a person, and I went to the doctors. Now, I've been on citalopram for a number of years, and I went in, spoke to him, told him what was going on. I said, by the way, I've stopped the citalopram. He said, well, why have you done that? I said, well, the first thing you ask when you put you on citalopram and that, have you got suicidal thoughts or anything else? He said, whatever you do, get back on them straight away. I was on 20 milligrams in. They put me up to 40, which is a higher dose. which gave me control of the body chemistry. But it was at that point that the light did begin to start to switch on, because I realised that it was stories I was telling myself.
Yeah.
I was a bit like a rabbit in the headlights. I didn't know which direction to turn, which road to take, etc. And that. And I was starting to have to dig out, and I stopped at that point, and I thought, yeah, my diabetes was getting on top of me. My sugar levels weren't under as good a control as what they could be. And you know what? I've got to stop this. I've got a young daughter who would have been about 11 at the time. And I've also got a son and wife out there that need me. Right. And I took time out. I gave myself space. And I've been on this journey ever since of personal development. I read a lot of books. One that I've come up with just recently, one of my LinkedIn connections, James Halls, he wrote a book, The Secret Life of Men. If you haven't read it, I'd recommend it. It's an absolute brilliant book, because it looks at the psyche of a male, and it is absolutely frightening just how accurate it is. And I could see me at different parts of my life journey in there. And I also started to see it from the perspective of what my wife was doing, because all during the day, I'd be hard at work in my job or hard at work as a counsellor. But what happened with me was when I came home, I'd either drink heavy, I'd be totally withdrawn, I wouldn't be talking to anyone, I'd be in low mood, I didn't want to do anything, I lacked motivation. And this was the side that the public didn't see of me. What they see was a guy that was clued up, got it all together, was living a successful life, you know. And underneath me, because I mean, in politics, and in the building, it was seen as a sign of weakness if you have mental health issues and that. So I dared talk about it. Now I openly talk about it. I'm out of the political scene. But I think, for me, giving back, being part of the community and serving people was something that I've done throughout my life. And I think I owe it to young people, and I owe it to the next generation to talk what I've learned. Try to give them the mental discipline that they need to be able to control their thoughts. And, you know, I think the other thing that I've learned now, I didn't, but I immediately take 2 steps back now when a problem presents me, rather than just go in like a ball in the tire shop and, well, we need to do this, and this. I now take a step back, I look at the situation, weigh up what's going on, then I deal with it. But that's come with maturity, and that has come from the journey that I've taken in my life. I mean, one of the best pieces of advice, I've got it written on the wall, that I was ever given: what other people think of me is not my business.
Yeah.
It took me years for that penny to drop, but it does now. I'm at a stage of my life now. I live it on my terms. I'm totally carefree. My family is the biggest and most important thing to me. And, you know, I don't care what everybody else thinks. Yet when I was in politics, I had to worry about that all the time. I just feel so released from that now. I mean, every time I was talking, because of the leadership positions that I had a reporter hanging on every word that I said. I had a local radio station that would interview me from time to time, but they were all hanging on everything I said. Anything I put out on the internet, anything I put in the local paper, people were seeing it all the time. I couldn't afford to make mistakes. because they don't see the person out there that's doing the good work, is the good speaker, and that is the mistakes that they see. And
Yeah.
it's very much like mental health. With mental health, it's not visible, so it's not taken seriously.
Exactly.
People do not understand the journey that you're undergoing, because they look at you on the outside, you look quite healthy. You look reasonably confident. I mean, I'd become so good at putting a front on, it was unbelievable.
The mask.
Yep, absolutely.
The
Yeah, I
mask.
know. I had a mask on all the time, and I was thinking to see, people saying, "Oh, you'll do this, you do this well, you do that, you do that." Well, if only you could see what I'm like when I'm away.
On the inside, yeah. Yeah. See,
Yeah, absolutely.
we're in the first week of February now, and my partner informed me last week that the last time I actually left the house, like to go town somewhere, was actually last year. That was the last time I actually left the house. And it just shows, it just shows. Am I actually scared of going outside? Some of the time, yes, I am. I don't believe there is actually a cure for mental health. I don't think there will ever be a cure. But what I actually do believe is there is a coping method to mental health.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you meditate, you do yoga, whatever, breathing techniques, medication, it doesn't matter. The best thing to do is talk. That is the best coping strategy I can actually recommend. And with that book you mentioned, obviously after this, would you be able to send me the link so I can actually put it into the description?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll find the link for it. James Halls is the author. He's one of my connections, and he's a clinical psychologist, I think, or clinical therapist. Can't remember. The psych around it's important. I was just thinking about what you said there. You see, I come from the like you, the controversial view that mental health can't be cured. And I totally and utterly agree with you on that. Because depression is the most sneakiest thing that I've ever known in my life. When I was getting bad spells of it, I could go to bed one night on a high, had a really good day, wake up in the morning,
and you're lost.
I'm completely lost. What the hell has happened? It's caught me overnight. Now, because I got the control of my thoughts and because I recognise the sign, I'm able to keep myself together. I mean, you talking about lockdown there. I'll give you an example. Last weekend, my wife was at home, as she would be at the weekend, and I said to her, do you know what? I'm so fed up with this lockdown. If you weren't here, I'd be spiraling down at the moment because I'll be going mad. I mean, my daughter was cessation, 19, got her education, I think, or typical teenager, locks herself in her bedroom, so I get I might be at lunchtime, I'll get to talk to her for 5 minutes. I've got no, other than talking to yourself or talking to other people on Zoom, I've got no outside contact, and it's difficult. Am I scared to go out? No, I do go out. I do go occasionally for a walk, or I take a stroll down to the local shop. And I went supermarket shopping last night with my wife. Well, I am very, very careful. I keep my distance. I respect other people's distance. I have to put the mask on, and I don't like that. But it's where we are now. I mean, somebody described it to me a little while ago. It's more or less like germ warfare. And if you think about it, it is, because you've got the virus now getting mutating all the time, bringing different variants in and that. And, you know, even the top scientists in the world are challenged. And they're being constantly challenged to find the answer, because the great panacea is the vaccines. And if the vaccines ain't working, society's not going to get back to anywhere near the semblance of normality.
Yeah, well, obviously, when it comes to COVID and all that, I know people's got their own views on it. I know you've got yours, I've got mine, but obviously, what comes down to it is, I believe the real pandemic in all of this is mental health.
Yep.
Because we're hearing COVID this, vaccine that, variant this, social distance that, political this, political that. There's no mention of autism, other disabilities, mental health, supporting families. There's none of that.
Yeah.
There is none.
No.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse.
And obviously, if you want me to blame someone for this, I don't blame the people. I actually blame the media for actually spreading the fear.
Fear. Because the one thing I learned very quickly that in politics is the bad news sells papers. And the bottom line is the mainstream media are concentrating on that too much, whereas I think that they should be taking a better a step in a more positive direction. They should be talking about what the vaccines are doing, all the great research that's going on, what the findings are. So you've got that positive light at the end of the tunnel, if you like, that we can all aim for, we can all head for. I see an interesting survey I see very recently by the National Union of Students. 52% of students think their mental health has got worse. This was taken in November. Out of that 52%, only 31% of them had tried to get help, support, whether that be counselling, talking to a coach, etc. And of that 23%, that 21%, sorry, that had not reached out, the vast majority were young men.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the likes of us have got to go. We've got to get to a situation where men start talking openly, whether it's in the male community, whether it's in man caves or whatever. It's we got to be more sympathetic to one another. Yeah, having a banter has its place. But also at the end of that level, I think we got to respect one another that, you know, I'm struggling, you're struggling, check in with one another. You know, I played, up until lockdown, I played a lot of darts. And unless you can play online and you've got the time to do that, I completely and utterly missed that community of people completely. You know, it was part of my social life. I mean, I wouldn't say I was a regular pub go, but I was out playing darts. I was like, hey, up where you go? Adam, I've lost you. Hello?